In these next 3 videos, we're going to be interviewing the candidates for Inspector General. You need to vote today to have your voice heard. Your voice matters, and your vote counts. So let's get started.
We have a really special guest today. We have Javier, and if you'd like to introduce yourself, what do you do and past experience?
Yeah, for those who don't know me in the WAXio community, my name is Javier Mendonça, and I work as an Android developer. I have a background in software engineering, and that's what I have been doing for the last 10 year-ish. Yeah,
Wow.
a bit more, actually. Yeah.
That's a whole decade of experience.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really important. So, what got you into blockchain technology?
That's actually a very good one because I was born and raised in Venezuela, and as you might know, the economy there is not the best. So I heard of blockchain pretty much as many other people, I would say, with Bitcoin rising in price or something like that back in 2013 or 14, with the when it reached like $1,000 per Bitcoin or so. And I was extremely interested in the technology and what it was, the value proposition of it, not only for failing economies but for for the world in general.
Yeah, that's a really good reason to get into it. That's like firsthand experience of why it's really important
Yeah,
and how it could change the world.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's
yeah. I
really
mean,
good.
I experienced firsthand hyperinflation and currency debasement and so on. So, the idea clicked in my brain like the first time I read about it.
Wow, that's cool. Well, I'm glad that you're in it. We need people
Yeah,
like you.
thank you.
So I guess what gets you most excited about blockchain technology in general? Like what parts of it or what stands out the
Yeah, well,
most?
I think it's the way we can transform most of these tedious processes that we have around the world, like all these businesses that have middle layers. We can optimize all that. I mean, as an engineer, I want to optimize things all the time. So that's a very good thing, and also the transparency that we bring to the table, right? Because anyone can basically verify the transactions, and everything is transparent and decentralized, which means that no one can, not a single entity can control the whole system. So that is, I think, a game changer.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. But what got you into wax specifically?
When it comes to Wax, well, I discovered blockchain with Bitcoin, right? Then I started reading about all these other projects that were appearing, like Ethereum and so on, and then I got into EOSIO. So I was very involved in the EOSIO community here in Sweden, and then when I saw Wax, actually I saw Wax when it was on Ethereum first, but their idea was not feasible at that point on Ethereum because of the gas fees and so on. So they migrated to a fork of EOSIO, and that's pretty much how I learned about it.
Oh, cool. We have a bunch of people from EOSIO and wax. That's exciting.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, what do you think is the unique value proposition of wax over other platforms?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the uniqueness of it is the how smooth you can trade digital assets or NFTs. Um, because the reason why they migrated from Ethereum, right, was because the gas fees were so high. I mean, even now with the DeFi craze, the fees are crazy, and also how how easy it is for let's say a normal person to interact with the blockchain, because I mean, you don't need to have, let's say, any extra plugins installed on your browser or anything special. Just you can just go and create the cloud wallet, right? The Wax Cloud Wallet. You sign up for free with an email or password. I mean, with your Gmail account or Facebook account, whatever. It's like super easy to create an account, and you're ready to go, basically. and there are many like NFTs that are being airdropped for free on the community, so you can pick one of those and start trading directly with other people around the world. So I think it's the how easy they made it for people to do this. I think it's incredible.
I agree with you. Like you could show up and use like your Twitter account to log in and get a new account, and then you could get a free NFT and then trade it on a secondary market and then actually get wax instead of go, you know what I mean? It's really easy for somebody that has not even bought crypto before or anything like that. They could just get something handed to them and then trade it on the secondary market, and then all of a sudden they have a currency that they can play with. I think that's really cool. I think they really thought out mass adoption really well with the WaxClaw wallet. So
exactly, because most of the other like cryptocurrency projects or products are kind of so far made for like people who are good at tech, or kind of like, I don't know, it feels like it's made by programmers for programmers, right? So you have all these weird interfaces, and it's like very complicated to interact with if you're not from this world. But Wax, I think, made it like a no-brainer for anyone, basically. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get to kind of the meat of our interview, is that you're running right now for Inspector General of the Wax blockchain. And I guess there's a lot of things behind that. A lot of people might not know that, about the Wax governance or about what is an Inspector General, and it's titled OIG for Office of Inspector General. So a lot of people don't know any of that kind of stuff, and we're kind of trying to introduce them to it. But what does an OIG do?
Yeah, well, their main purpose is basically to evaluate the different guilds, and by guilds I mean the people or the teams behind running the infrastructure to support the Wax blockchain. So basically, what the Inspector General does is basically to look at these different guilds and see what they are doing and what they are not doing, and kind of give them some score and evaluate them, so that the community members and the token holders can kind of get some help when it comes to voting for a given guild. Since I mean, it's a bit like, otherwise it will be very difficult for a normal person to be looking after each of the guilds and see what they're doing. So it's better like to get like a concise kind of summary of it.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what that's the main task of Inspector Generals. Yeah.
That's fun. That's kind of an important role, right? You're keeping
Yeah,
them in line.
it is. Yeah, it is, exactly, because you kind of, I mean, the guilds are being paid for, right, for running the nodes and producing blocks on the blockchain. So so basically, this team of people, the Inspector Generals, are looking after them and seeing like, what they're doing, basically. Yeah.
Cool. So I guess my next question was about what is a guild. You kind of described it, but what is expected of a guild, like in your eyes, as someone that might be the next Inspector General? What do you expect from a guild?
Yeah, well, I mean, the primary task of a guild is to produce blocks, or basically to validate the transactions on the blockchain, is to provide the infrastructure needed for the Wax blockchain to run. So that's like the main, the baseline, basically. And after that, of course, the community is like expecting more things from them, not just producing blocks. So with time, we have seen that it kind of evolved so that the guilds are producing, like developing products, or providing different values to the community, such as yourself, for instance. You're like running this YouTube channel and you're like educating the community, right? So you basically anything that provides value to the community is something that you're expecting from them. with the current framework, which has been evolving for since the inception basically, and it has gone a long way, I believe. One of the things they basically evaluate the guilds in 4 different categories. So it's product development, community, outreach. Then you have infrastructure, of course, and then you have the 4th one, like ecosystem in general. So basically, I mean, like creating content, for instance, would qualify for like community engagement, and you would get a point for that. Yeah.
And like you said, the most important is the infrastructure, which is rather expensive to upkeep.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, it's probably the most important, but I would say it doesn't subtract value from the other categories either, because I mean, some guilds are very good at infrastructure and they provide top-notch servers and everything, so that we can rely on the WAX blockchain. But at the same time, there are others that maybe are not so good at infrastructure, but they are super good at creating content, right? Which brings, I believe, a different type of value. So it's a mix of things.
That's really cool. It's a good mix for a healthy ecosystem, instead of a bunch of developers just not talking about it and no one knows what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, we of course need the infrastructure to run this properly, but at the same time, we need people like you that is educating others and bringing new members to the community. So because I mean, it's cool if we're playing here in our room together with these machines, but it's even cooler if we let people know about what we're doing here.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of answered my question on what do you think makes an excellent wax guild?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think an excellent wax guild is the one that basically provides the most value they can within their competence. So that, I mean, as I mentioned before, there are some guilds that are very good at infrastructure, right? So so I think if they can provide the most they can, and you know that they excel at it, I would say they are definitely a remarkable guild. Because what I have found is that it's very difficult for a guild to be good at everything, right? Not just a guild. I mean, any person, right? It's not like you can be good at editing videos and programming and doing math and painting, right? You probably are good at 1 or 2 things, and then the rest you're so. And I think I mean, it needs to be a balance as well. So I think as long as you're providing a lot of value to the community in one way or another, that would be that's a great thing, I believe.
Okay. So what do you think? This is, I guess, just an opinion. What makes a great wax inspector general?
Yeah, I believe the main thing that the wax inspector general should have, basically evaluating each and every guild and their products and so on. You need to have certain objectivity on it, and well, that's one of the reasons why it's not only 1 person but 3. So you kind of reach consensus there. But objectivity would be the first thing. And in that case, I think I checked that up, because I'm not affiliated with any guild, or I haven't even run a guild myself, even though I'm familiar with running nodes on ESIO, but never done it for wax. Yeah, not affiliated with anyone. So in that sense, I would treat pretty much equally every single guild. Also, transparency and communication with the community. Because one thing I see now is that, as you mentioned earlier, like the guilds and the OIG is like a bit unknown to average users, like they have no idea about it, or maybe they don't care, but it's like it's not, or it feels to me that it's not so accessible to them. So I think it's one thing that I'm proposing is that these reports that we as inspector generals do every month for the guilds, like scoring every product and so on, to make like a short summary of that available to the community, something that will be digestible, easy to read, so that people can see easily like who is doing what,
like more transparency and a digestible way.
Yeah, because I don't know if you have seen those reports, but they're extensive. They're extensive, and maybe you read them, and if you're not into this like ecosystem, you would have no idea what they're talking about, basically. So I think it's a good thing to bring light to guilds, especially those who maybe are worse at marketing themselves than others. So I think everyone is doing a great job, and you should highlight them for what they're doing. So yeah, I think engaging more with the community would be something that a good inspector general would do.
In your opinion, what should voters look for when voting for an inspector general?
I believe they should. Well, to begin with, should go to the inspector general election portal now and look at all the candidates. Right now, we're 3. We all have interviews and media posts on Medium, like basically announcing our candidacy and what we want to do and what not. So the first thing is to go and learn about us and see what we want to do. That will be step 1, and also to like try to maybe understand the importance of it, because people, I mean, normal people that are like using Atomic Hub every day to trade NFTs, let's say, they might not even know what is happening behind the scenes. But I think to have like us looking after the guilds, that they, making sure that they are like executing as they are saying that they're executing, is very important, because this is basically the core of the network. And if we don't have proper system in place, then we cannot have all the fun that we're having.
Okay. And then, do you have any advice for future WAX Inspector General candidates?
My advice would be the first one would be to know what are the issues that the guilds are having, and try to familiarize yourself with the ecosystem, because of course you cannot just go there and nominate yourself, because I mean, if you don't know what you're talking about or what your role will be. So first thing would be learning what are the issues and how things work currently, so that you can then see how to improve it. That would be my advice.
So just like get involved and see what's already going on.
Yeah, and the community is quite open, and anyone can join. I mean, you can. We have groups on Telegram, so you can just go join and see the conversations and participate. So it's getting involved.
Do you have any advice for guilds?
Well, for guilds, I think one of the things we can be better at is at communicating. Especially and receiving and getting feedback. One of the things I heard before was that sometimes the feedback given by the guilds was not being heard properly by the office inspector general. So one thing I would say is try to communicate more clearly, because I mean, we're playing basically the same team. we all want the WAX blockchain to succeed and to be having more games and more projects launching on this blockchain. So I think communication is key in that case. Yeah.
That's good advice. What can the WAX ecosystem expect from you if they vote you in, or when they vote you in?
Yeah. Well, I have few in the Medium post that I published. There are like the immediate, let's say, proposals that I would like to execute. Of course, it's not just up to me, but it's something that I would need to discuss with the other inspector generals. But one thing that is specifically tailored to the community will be this small, short summaries that I mentioned before to highlight what the guilds are doing, basically. So that's something I think the whole community would benefit from, either if you're a regular user or a guild yourself, because you have a lot of work to do and probably cannot read the reports for every single guild. So if you get a short summary of it, it would also be beneficial.
So what does the future of WAX look like in your eyes?
Oh, yeah, I mean, the future of WAX for me is so bright. I almost need to have sunglasses to look at it. Right? I mean, like joke aside, I think it has an amazing future. I think there will be like many games and products integrated to it. And now with the new DeFi module, that now we're basically connecting the economic activity happening on WAX to Ethereum. What I see is that we will have blockchains interconnected, and if you want to trade digital assets or NFTs, you will probably go to WAX and do it there because it's the one that is more frictionless, I think. So I don't see any better place to do it at the moment, at least.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
What is the election process, and where or how can we vote for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, election process basically, we have like a nomination phase, which already passed. So you have like 5 days, like a week or maybe 2 weeks to nominate candidates. And then after that comes the voting phase, which started on 18th of January and finishes on 24th.
That's this Sunday, guys.
Sorry. Exactly. It's soon. So within that time period, you can go to the OIG portal and vote for the candidate of your choice. And it's very important that in order to vote, you need to have WAX tokens, and they need to be staked. So on WAX, you can basically have tokens that are unstaked as well. So, but for the let's say the office to take into consideration your voice, you need to stake those tokens. And then no matter if you have 1 token or 1 million tokens, you can vote equally, basically. So it's I think it's a very important thing, and yeah, I mean it's a lot of things happening on the WAX blockchain that a lot of governance and stuff that depends on this election and well all the OIG elections basically.
So when they vote you in, how long would you be in office?
Yeah, that's a good question. For this period, I think it's 18 months. Yeah, so I will be 18 months serving. But I know that there will be another election, I think somewhere in June. I'm not so sure, but because we have 3, let's say, original OIGs, and then there have been some elections. This is the 3rd one to basically rotate them every now and then.
3 people come to consensus that you would be voted in as a part of that trio.
Yeah. That's correct. That's correct. Otherwise, would be not very decentralized or objective. It would be just what I think, and that's it. So that's why it's important to have others in place as well, so that we have discussions, we can brainstorm things, and I think that's why or how you reach a better solution at the end of the day.
Well, awesome. This was a really great interview. We're stepping into blockchain governance, and we're starting with the WAX blockchain. So I just really appreciate you taking the time with us today. And I want to wish you the best on your candidacy. I know that it's just 2 days away. So if you're want to be involved in blockchain governance and who's a part of our blockchain governance in WAX, I really recommend that you vote, and you vote today, and the time is up on Sunday to vote. Do you have any additional words for anybody?
Yeah, I mean, take in mind or consider that the things that I'm proposing in my candidacy are not things that I just took out of my mind. I have been following this process since, well, I don't know, maybe 6 months back. I actually applied for the previous elections as well and got second place, so I'm already quite familiar with it. And in this case, I basically, instead of trying to propose things that I thought were good, I just talked directly to most of the guilds and asked them what were the issues that they were facing with the evaluation process. So many of them told me that the way the product development category, let's say, was evaluated was not fair enough. So I basically want to improve that and set up some new measurements in order to make the evaluation a bit more fair. Yeah. So this my other two proposals are basically you can read them in the Medium article. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are about they're basically about product evaluation, and then community or / feedback, and also the way we evaluate the guilds, given that not every guild is the same. I'm trying to propose a system where you will be evaluated for what you're good at, and not for, let's say, everything where you might or might not excel. Yeah,
that's awesome. So you heard it. So if you want to read more about the candidacy and what he's proposing, you can check that out in the Medium article link down below. And there's also a link to how you can vote. I recommend that you check out all the candidates, and we're going to be doing videos with all the candidates, so you can just check them out if you want, and then read through what they have written down so you can get to know them better in their own words, and vote for who you believe will bring the most value over the next 18 months to the WAX blockchain. So thank you so much for your time, Javier.
Thank you very much, Anna. I really appreciate it.
I hope we could talk again soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome.